Hi everyone, welcome back. It's sunny. It's a great day to be standing outside doing something, and so it's a good opportunity to do a little bit of pruning. Now, I don't have any major pruning to do on any trees. This is more shaping type pruning, but I thought I'd bring you along anyways. I do think that pruning is one of the scarier things you can do in the garden. I think, you know, pruning is one of those things that takes a lot of confidence, and that's something that only comes with experience. And I will tell you, I still, will double check books and the internet and look for information before I go pruning something sometimes. But at some point you just have to kind of get stuck in and start doing it. So one of the trees we're going to deal with today is this crabapple behind me. Now, I do want to be careful with what I'm pruning here. The time to prune crab apples is after they flower, because anything I cut off, those flower buds are already there. So anything I'm cutting is going to eliminate flower buds. Actually, this tree has not been flowering super well. So it'll be interesting to see what it does this year. We actually limbed up and cleaned up the evergreen that's to the east of it. It's sort of to the northeast, but it was still sort of affecting it a little bit. So I'm hoping that it will have better flower set this year. But when you look at this tree, you can see that it's quite congested in the middle. And then once you get out to the tips, it's rather airy. Well, that's because I have never pruned it. This came as a tiny little ball. You can almost see where the size it was when I got it, because that's all this congested stuff in the middle. And I've never pruned it for shape or anything. And I do think I should do that this year after it flowers. But for now, I'm just gonna go in there and clean up some of that stuff on the inside. Okay, so I'm right in this tree right now, but I wanted to get you in closer so you can see what's going on. There's a ton of crossing branches in here. There's all sorts of, it's way too congested in here. And one of the things you want to be really careful with is that all crab apples are prone to various types of diseases. And one really good way to get disease is to open up a wound by having branches rubbing on each other. So I'm going to go in here and just start clearing out some of this mess on the inside, and then we'll see where we're at. So I know that the shadows are killer right now, but do you see this branch right here? Do you see how it's just going straight across the tree? There's nothing to be gained by that. So I'm going to use the big loppers or my saw and take that whole branch out right there. There's also another one that it's growing kind of up out of the center, but there's a branch off it growing this way that I think is okay. So I don't think I'll take this whole branch out, but I will take out some of these other pieces. I always stand back and check to see, how things are looking. When you're right up in it, like I mean, it's congested when I can't get the branches out. Okay, so that's as much as I'm gonna do. Like I said, it's nothing drastic. I'm also not inclined to take out too much. The birds love sitting in this tree. It's very protective for them. They need that right now. So this was just enough just to clear it out a little bit, get some more light in there. And again, we'll hit it up after it blooms. And I see one more thing I want to take out. But we'll hit it up after it blooms to help work on the overall shape. Okay, next up on the pruning docket is this tree behind me. Now, I did a video pruning this last year. And let me just tell you the story of this. This is a gold spire ginkgo. It was crushed. I bought it as a very small plant. It was crushed. We had a tree taken down over there. It landed on it. It was completely crushed. So what I did was I grabbed one of the branches and created a new leader with it. But that means that it's a little misshapen, and it's tall enough now that keeping a new leader going is becoming a problem. You can see, if you can see this green stake in it there, it's not tall enough. So at some point, this tree is going to have to be left to its own devices. I can't guide it for life. But what I can do is go in there and clean it up a little bit more, shape it a little bit more, and take out some of the other branches that might think they're going to become a leader, because I still want a single leader tree here. So you can't see it that well from this angle, but let me tell you that the bathroom window is right up there. And so this is actually the garden that I look at the most, because I'll look at it when I'm drying my hair or getting ready. And so I notice these things. So I know that on the other side of this, and I'll take the camera around there, there is a branch that is trying to be the top dog, and we're not going to allow that to happen. I'm also going to just narrow it up a little bit more. I'd like this to still stay here. I'd like this to just be a nice narrow tree, basically. So I'm just going to go after this a little bit. You know, again, you guys, there is no pruning rule book for a tree that loses its leader and you create a new leader for it. This is gardening. This is your interpretation of what you want to do, and that's what I'm doing with this, is just you know, interpreting, taking a look at it and see what I want to do. I mean, really, what's the worst thing that can happen? Nothing. So it's a little bit misshapen. I can prune it again next year. All right, let's get at it. Okay, so you see this branch right here? This is the branch that is almost as tall as what I perceive to be the leader, which is this one right here. So that one is bending quite a bit, but I mean, at some point I just can't stake it anymore, right? But what I do need to do is go in here and really prune back this guy so that it no longer aspires to be a leader. Get in there with a hand pruner. Okay, so now that's plenty short that should not challenge the leader. I will shorten up some of these too. In most cases, you want to keep the center of whatever you're pruning nice and open. That creates light and air, all of which is really good. Of course, anything you see that is dead, that comes out any time of the year, no matter whether it's time to be pruning or not. Because I pruned, you know, pretty heavy last year, we're more shaping here than we are shaping and narrowing, to be honest, than we are worrying about too much cleanup, because a lot of that was done last year. And if this weren't such a Franken tree, this is not something I would have to do 2 years in a row. It's just that because it is an unusual circumstance, it just needs a little bit more, needs more guidance than most trees would. Okay, so that's it, just 2 small pruning jobs. These were no big deal, but I wanted to bring you along just to show you how to approach these things, and it's a good time to do some of these things in your own garden. So here's a way to think about pruning, and I think there's a good analogy to having my dogs. When we got Newfoundland dogs, we went to several seminars. Okay, I say we, I mean me. I'm the only one who does grooming. I went to several seminars on how to groom these dogs, because I learned pretty early on that I wanted to do the grooming myself for a variety of reasons. And I remember at the time someone saying, listen, don't worry about it. They have so much hair, it's gonna grow back if you screw it up. And so that's kind of how trees are. Most trees are healthy, and if you screw it up, it'll grow back. I mean, keep in mind, you can't put it back on after you take it off, but that's no reason not to go in there in the first place. So approach your pruning with some confidence and you know, fake it till you make it if that works for you, but don't stress about it too much. All right, I hope you're having a great day in your garden. We'll see you soon, and spring's on its way.